Hey guys, on today's episode, we're working on this Ferrari 458 Speciale. It is wrapped, it goes to the track on a regular basis. Therefore, it is very dirty and there's scratches everywhere. So we're gonna be polishing a wrap today for my buddy Jason in Australia. That and a whole lot more in this episode of Drive and Protect. Thank you to SquareSpace for sponsoring this episode. More on this coming up.
Have you seen how these tell you car wash mode activation?
Usually that's code for don't drive my car.
Yeah.
Step one is to power wash the dirt off the surface of the wrap. Then coat the wrap in ammo foam. Now the reason you need a little bit more care on color changing wraps is because they're typically thinner at about 3 to 5 mils and less forgiving than PPF overall. While on the other hand, clear bras or paint protection film are typically 8 to 12 mils, meaning much thicker, and they have stronger self-healing characteristics. So when you're working on a thinner wrap, you need to have a little bit more care. The bottom line is this, wraps are really cool and they're a less expensive way to change the color of your car really quickly than, let's say, traditional painting. But just as much, if not more care, needs to be taken with these wraps when cleaning and maintaining that material because one, it's really thin, and two, it's usually relatively soft. And when polishing out the scratches in something that's this soft, it's just not as straightforward as polishing clear coat. During the drying process, specifically on wraps, I recommend using a microfiber drying towel to remove all the water. If you decide you want to use compressed air or a hot air blower, that's cool. Just be a little bit focused on avoiding lifting those edges. It can be problematic if the edges lift up later on. If you use a drying towel, use a drying aid and a lubricant like Hydrate. Very critical for everyday safe washes, meaning you're out in your driveway on a Sunday, that kind of thing. That's going to minimize those accumulation of the tiny little love marks that we're seeing right here. Now in this case, because the 458 has so many scratches, we're gonna move it into the polishing bay. With the car now in the polishing bay, up on the lift, and the wheels now off, Leighton prepped the wheel bucket with Brute and then sprayed Plum on the track rims. Brody and I focused on polishing the wrap.
Okay, so on this car, we're using exfoliate and a waffle pad. So we're polishing vinyl wrap here. So vinyl wrap is obviously quite soft, so we don't want to heat it up. We don't want to put too much heat into it and melt the wrap. So we're doing quick back and forwards passes over it, which is just enough to exfoliate the surface and remove the surface scratches, the love marks from the wrap.
How good is he?
Just definitely keep the speed a little lower.
Yeah.
And less pressure, obviously.
I think I got to have it a bit higher with this.
Oh, you know what I'm saying, but you can feel it in the speed of it.
Yeah. It's actually not heating up.
It's not wanting up?
There's no heat in it at all.
Are you putting any pressure down?
Okay, normally you'd see me using a mask, and we're not doing that right now for two reasons. One, we're polishing the wrap with a foam pad as opposed to a wool pad. When you're using a wool pad, a lot of times you get this dust in the air and then you blow it out and you get it all in your face. That's why I wear that a lot of times. We're not doing that now. Foam pad compresses it, kind of keeps everything inside the pad. That's really good. Two, we're also not compounding or polishing or working on clear coat, we're working on plastic. So there's not a lot of stuff going in there. So in this case, I feel pretty comfortable. We're just gonna use a foam pad. We have exfoliate, get in there and we're in good shape. SquareSpace gives people a powerful and beautiful platform on which to create your very own website. You can connect with your audience and generate revenue through gated, members-only content, manage your members and send email communications, and leverage audience insights all in one easy-to-use platform. Create a community on your Squarespace website with a fully integrated commenting system that supports threaded comments, replies, and even likes. You can use their powerful blogging tools to categorize, share, and schedule posts too. You can extend Squarespace's already powerful e-commerce capabilities with Squarespace extensions. Display posts from your social profiles on your website and automatically push website content to your favorite social media channels so your followers can share it too, like this one here. Go to squarespace.com for your free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/AMONYC to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. You're really exfoliating, like in the actual definition. We're just kind of claying, so to speak, but you wouldn't want to clay this. You'd really mar the heck out of it.
Yep.
So we're just pulling out the junk, cleaning it, so to speak. So taking out a few scratches, not all of them for sure. So I always knock down the speed a little bit here. I don't put as much pressure. I kind of let the wrap tell me what it likes.
Yep.
And know that, you know, getting it back to 80%, 85% is, I'm cool with that, because if you make a mistake here, you have some big problems. One, you got to find the same exact color, and sometimes the color is not the same from the different roll from one to the other.
Yep.
There's a little bit of that play in PPF, but if you mess up a PPF, you know, you pull it off, put it back on, it's pretty much the same. When you're color matching wrap, it's that much harder, so you really don't want to mess it up. Plus it's thinner, you see what I'm saying? So I just kind of go a little easier on these.
Yep.
I suggest using a foam pad on a DA on speed 3 or so, maybe a little bit less than 3. Links to everything that I'm using are in the description. Here is the before and the before on the passenger side door, just to kind of give you an example of what it's going to look like after you spend a little bit of time polishing wrap. So what I'm specifically using here is a 21-inch Rupes polisher on speed 3, a 6-inch foam waffle straight cut pad. Now that pad was primed before this video right here with 2 quarter-size squirts of exfoliate polish. Again, after it's been primed, you can see that I'm moving my arms a little bit faster than I would on normal clear-coated paint. I'm doing that just to avoid putting too much heat into one place. Again, the mission here is to not have that shrivel. When you overheat wrap, you'll see it shrivel immediately, and then you have to replace the whole thing. So that's why I'm moving a little bit faster here. Now on the after, it's way better. Is it perfect? By no means, but it is a bit of a balancing act between cleaning the wrap and then burning through it. That's far easier to do on a wrap than clear coat, as I mentioned. So you have to be a little bit hyper aware and at the same time be okay with not going after every single deep scratch that's in a wrap. If it's really, really bad and it's driving you crazy, you can of course replace it. That's the beauty, that's the joy of putting a wrap on the car. But I do encourage you to kind of exfoliate, pull out all the junk that's in that wrap, and it'll look 1,000 times better. All right, at this point, Brody and I are about halfway done with the car, maybe a little bit more. I wanted to show you a perfect example of sort of exfoliating the wrap. If you can see here, this is from the track. That's all rubber and, you know, dirt and what have you. I have a towel right here. See a little bit of exfoliate. I'll come in, give it a rub like this. You can see it comes right off. So that's kind of what we're doing to the entire paint, is just cleaning everything off and getting it ready for the coating. With the wheel wells exposed, Brody took advantage of the extra space and used Ammo Frothy on the suspension before polishing the calipers. Again, calipers, just like the wrap, tend to be very, very thin, and they have lots of sharp edges. So it's very, very, very easy to burn through. I've done this 1,000 times, so I'm just giving you a heads up here. Use a foam pad, exfoliate, very light pressure, and avoid bumping those edges that I just talked about, because you'll have a little burn through edges and it'll drive you nuts. It happens all the time. It's kind of the detailing dilemma. Just the idea here is to exfoliate and just remove as much junk from the surface of the caliper and then go in and protect it. With the pores of the caliper now clean, I'm going to fill those pores with a high temp coating to make future cleanings way easier when the wheels are on. Again, I'll have links to everything in the description, or you can just visit my website, ammonyc.com, to see a step-by-step tutorial and case uses on every product. On the inside of pretty much every rim, there's just old wheel weight stickers from when they rebalance it and they have to move one wheel weight to another. They never seem to clean it all the way off. A rubber wheel can be super helpful here to have that perfect inner barrel look. With the clean wheels and barrels back on, we moved over to bay number 3 for more lighting, polished the carbon fiber engine bay, cleaned up the interior, and then of course added Reflex Pro 2 coating to the freshly exfoliated wrap. A quick tip here, coatings tend to cure faster on wraps in my experience, so you either need to work in smaller sections, or in this case, have a partner with you. One applies and the other removes like we did here. If you notice, Leighton is using his hand, of course in a glove, to help remove the light oils on the glass before squeegeeing. The difference is we usually do it with a scrub pad, but the scrub pads are in the wash because we did so many cars when we were in Australia, so using your hand is fine in a pinch. Well guys, the 458 Speciale is done, and look at it, it looks absolutely spectacular. Now keep in mind, there is a vinyl wrap on here, and you can polish a vinyl wrap to remove the contamination. In this case, he takes it to the track, so it's gonna be much easier to clean in the future. Why? Because we put Reflex Pro on it. So he's gonna come back, power wash it, it's gonna be way easier to maintain and then go to the track. Now the only thing left to do is to find out what makes the 458 Speciale so Speciale. driving along in Australia in a 458 Speciale. 4.5 liter V8, nearly 600 horsepower. Stunning car. Now what makes this so Speciale is it's actually lighter than the original 458. And more importantly, it sounds like this. Well guys, there you have it, my first drive in a 458 Speciale right-hand drive in Australia. See you next time.